The courtroom buzzed with tension from the moment the doors opened. Everyone already knew who was coming. Ethan Harrow, the police chief's only son, infamous for acting like the law was written for everyone except him. When he strutted into Judge Judy's courtroom, chin high, sunglasses on indoors, the murmurs grew louder. He didn't walk in like someone facing consequences. He walked in like someone attending a red carpet event. Behind him, Officer Daniels entered with a stiff jaw and a visible bruise on his cheek. The bruise was the reason they were all here. Ethan had slapped him across the face in the station lobby over a parking citation, then bragged about it to everyone who would listen. Now he was about to discover consequences he never expected. Judge Judy walked in, and the room snapped to silence. "Everyone stand," the bailiff commanded. Everyone except Ethan, who stayed seated, legs stretched out. Judge Judy arched a brow. "Young man," she said sharply, "you stand when I enter unless you have a medical excuse or a death wish." Ethan smirked and rose with exaggerated slowness. "Relax, it's just a courtroom." A gasp rippled through the audience. Judge Judy's eyes locked onto him like steel. "Not just a courtroom. My courtroom. And you watch your mouth." Ethan shrugged, chewing gum loudly. Karen, the prosecutor, stepped forward. "Your Honor, the defendant not only struck Officer Daniels, but verbally abused several officers and attempted to leverage his father's title to avoid arrest." Ethan cut in. "It was barely a slap. He was disrespecting me." Officer Daniels clenched his jaw. "I asked you to stop blocking the station doors with your motorcycle." "Right." Ethan snorted, "So he got in my face, and I know, no. Judge Judy interjected. "You got his face. Then you assaulted him. That is what we call the truth." Ethan rolled his eyes. Judge Judy's finger shot up. "Don't roll your eyes at me unless you want them detached." Laughter bubbled in the room, but Ethan just smirked again, undeterred. Judge Judy turned to Officer Daniels. "Tell me exactly what happened." Daniels nodded respectfully. "Your Honor," I reminded him, politely, that parking on the steps was a violation. He laughed, said his father owned the place, and told me to go fetch something useful. When I asked him to move, he slapped me. Hard. Ethan shrugged again. "Barely touched him." Judge Judy snapped. "Bailiff, measure the distance between his ego and reality, please." The room erupted again. Ethan's face flushed slightly, but he crossed his arms stubbornly. "You're blowing this up. My father will deal with it." Judge Judy leaned forward. "I don't care if your father is the police chief, the governor, or the King of England. In this room, you are responsible for your actions." "Whatever," Ethan muttered. "I'm not scared." Judge Judy's expression sharpened. "Oh, you will be." She turned to the file in front of her. "I'll look at this. This is not your first incident, is it?" Ethan stiffened. "Those were misunderstandings." Judge Judy read aloud. "Speeding, reckless driving, disturbing the peace, vandalism, and now assaulting an officer." She slammed the file shut. "You are a walking disaster with a superiority complex." Ethan stepped forward. "I didn't assault him. It was an emotional reaction." Judge Judy's voice dropped into dangerous calm. "You put your hand on a police officer in anger. That is textbook assault. The fact you think otherwise means you either don't understand the law or choose to ignore it." "Maybe the law should stop wasting my time," Ethan said. The entire room froze. Judge Judy stood. She rarely stood. "Bailiff," she said, "remove his sunglasses." Ethan protested. "Don't touch me. I swear." The bailiff swiftly plucked the sunglasses off. Ethan lunged forward and shoved him. A collective gasp filled the room. Judge Judy's gavel cracked like thunder. "Stop." Ethan froze like a deer hit by headlights. Judge Judy turned to the bailiff. "Are you all right?" He nodded. "Fine, Your Honor." She then turned to Ethan with a deadly calm. "Congratulations. You just assaulted another officer in my courtroom." Ethan's bravado flickered, cracking for the first time. I didn't mean no." Judge Judy snapped. "You never mean anything, do you? Because you think consequences are optional. But let me educate you. They are not." She folded her arms. "Call Chief Harrow." Ethan paled. No, do not call my father." Judge Judy smiled coldly. "Oh, now you don't want him involved." The bailiff dialed. Moments later, The courtroom door opened and Chief Harrow walked in, face grim with embarrassment. Ethan stared at the floor. The chief approached the podium. "Your Honor, I'm ashamed. I knew he was reckless, but I didn't know it was this bad." Judge Judy nodded. "Well, now you do." Ethan tried to speak, but Judge Judy raised a hand. Not one word. The chief addressed his son. "Ethan, what were you thinking?" Ethan swallowed hard. "Dad, I just got angry." Judge Judy interjected. "He slapped an officer, shoved a bailiff, mocked the court, refused to stand, and believes your position protects him." She gestured around. This is who he's become." Chief Harrow closed his eyes as if the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. "Your Honor, I give you full authority. No special treatment." Ethan's head snapped up. "Dad, what no? You can't just—" "I can," the chief said firmly, "and I will." Judge Judy sat down again. "Good, because I'm about to give him exactly what he's earned." Ethan looked sick. "Your Honor," silence. Her verdict came swift and fierce. "You will pay a $5,000 fine. You will serve 200 hours of mandatory community service, not the easy kind. You will attend anger management classes, and you will write a formal apology to Officer Daniels and the bailiff." Ethan stared, speechless. "On top of that," Judge Judy continued, "you will spend 48 hours in county jail for contempt of court." Ethan's knees buckled. "Jail? For what?" "For thinking you're above the law," she snapped. "Do you understand now?" The courtroom leaned forward. Ethan's voice cracked. "Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry." Judge Judy nodded. "Good. Fear is sometimes the only language arrogance understands." Chief Harrow bowed his head. "Thank you, Your Honor." As the bailiff moved to escort Ethan out, the once cocky young man finally broke. "Dad, please, don't let them take me." His father shook his head. "Son, this is the moment you grow up." Ethan was led away, trembling, the entire courtroom silent as stone. Judge Judy watched him go, then spoke to the room. "Let this be a reminder. The law does not bend for ego, bloodline, or entitlement." She banged her gavel. Case closed. And the entire courtroom exhaled at once, stunned, humbled, and forever changed by what they had just witnessed. As Ethan disappeared through the side door, the courtroom remained frozen, the tension still thick enough to slice. Chief Harrow did not move at first. He stood rooted to the floor, staring at the space where his son had just been taken. His shoulders rose and fell in one slow, exhausted breath. Judge Judy watched him carefully. "Chief Harrow, this is your chance to step in as a father, not a chief." He nodded, eyes heavy. "I know. I've been letting things slide. I thought he just needed time to mature. But now I see I was enabling him." Judge Judy's voice softened only a fraction. "You cannot fix him by shielding him from consequences. You fix him by letting him face them." Chief Harrow swallowed hard. "I will." Officer Daniels stepped forward carefully. Chief Harrow stepped into the hallway outside the courtroom, his boots echoing against the polished floor. The door shut behind him with a muted thud, sealing away the murmurs and whispers inside. He stopped walking, placed both hands on his hips, and let out a long, exhausted breath, the kind that comes only after years of denial finally shatter. A reporter hovering near the hallway looked ready to pounce, microphone raised, but one look at the chief's stormy expression sent her retreating like a frightened animal. He rubbed his temples. "God, what have I done?" he muttered to himself. Officer Daniels approached carefully. The bruise on his cheek still tinted the right side of his face, but the hardness in his expression had softened just slightly after witnessing Ethan's meltdown in the courtroom. "Chief," Daniels said, voice steady, "you did the right thing in there." Harrow didn't look convinced. "Feels like I just surrendered my son to the system I swore to uphold." "Maybe that's exactly what he needed," Daniels said. "A wake-up call." The chief leaned against the wall. "He's been out of control for months. Maybe years. I kept telling myself he'd outgrow it." Daniels shook his head. "Respect doesn't grow on its own. Someone has to teach it." Harrow winced at the truth of it. "Every time he messed up, I told people to give him another chance. Every time he got caught speeding or mouthing off, I told myself he's just a kid. But he stopped being just a kid a long time ago." Daniels crossed his arms. He listens to no one. Not even you. Especially not me, the chief corrected. He sees me as the shield, not the guide. Daniels hesitated, then said, Chief, I know he's your son, but he needed this. If he hit me, he added, pointing to the bruise on his cheek, you know he hit someone else before. Or he would have. Harrow's eyes clouded. You're right. I should have stepped in earlier. Better late than never, Daniels replied. The chief straightened. I need to see him. But the bailiff guarding the hallway shook his head firmly. Not yet, Chief. He's being processed. Visiting hours are tomorrow morning. Harrow sighed. Then tomorrow it is. Daniels offered a small nod of respect before returning to the station. The chief watched him leave, then slowly walked toward the exit. As the automatic doors slid open, a blast of afternoon air blew across his face. It should have felt refreshing. Instead, it felt like a reminder of how much he'd been ignoring, not just as a chief, but as a parent. Back inside the courthouse, Judge Judy returned to her chambers, her expression unreadable. Her clerk followed beside her. That was pretty intense, the clerk said. He wasn't the worst I've seen, Judy replied. But he's exactly the kind of kid who ends up in real trouble if no one intervenes. She set her file stack down. The father's remorse is genuine. That's the only reason I didn't come down harder. The clerk nodded. Think the lesson will stick. Judge Judy shrugged. That depends on the boy. Jail can scare some sense into him, or it can make him angrier. It's up to him which version he becomes. She sat down and sighed. Let's hope it's the former. Meanwhile, Ethan sat in a small holding cell at the county jail, the cold metal bench pressing into his back. The door had slammed shut behind him an hour ago, and the echo had sent a shock down his spine. Reality was settling in like ice water. His hands shook slightly. He tried hiding them in his pockets, but the trembling persisted. This is stupid, he muttered to himself. She can't do this. My dad will get me out. But then he remembered the look on his father's face, the disappointment, the defeat, the frustration years in the making. His father hadn't defended him. He had agreed to the punishment. Ethan swallowed hard. He replayed the moment in the courtroom when he shoved the bailiff. It hadn't even been intentional. It was instinct, anger, arrogance, entitlement, all firing at once. But seeing the bailiff stumble backward and the way the entire courtroom recoiled had made something inside him flicker. Fear. The first true fear he'd felt in a long time. Now, sitting in the dim cell, he felt something else too. Shame. He dropped his head into his hands. I really messed up, he whispered. Footsteps echoed outside, and a guard paused near his cell. You'll be transferred to county in the morning, the guard said bluntly. Ethan straightened. County, that's what 48 hours means. Ethan's stomach twisted. The guard gave him a hard look. You know, you kids who think you're invincible, you learn real fast once those doors close. Then he walked away. Ethan swallowed, suddenly acutely aware of how thin the walls felt. The next morning, Chief Harrow visited the jail right when visiting hours began. His badge gave him access, but not peace of mind. He sat down at the table inside the visiting area. Moments later, Ethan was escorted in. He looked smaller than usual, tired, pale, shaken. When he sat down, neither father nor son spoke for a few seconds. Finally, Ethan whispered, Dad, I'm sorry. The chief nodded slowly. Are you sorry for what you did, or sorry you got caught? Ethan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Both, he admitted. The chief clasped his hands together. Son, you slap an officer because he told you to move your motorcycle. You shoved a bailiff because he took off your sunglasses. You acted like everyone is beneath you. Ethan blinked hard, fighting the sting in his eyes. I didn't think. I just reacted. That is the problem, the chief said firmly. You don't think. Ethan dropped his head. The chief continued. I've protected you from consequences your whole life. I thought I was helping, but I was making things worse. Ethan sniffed. Dad, I don't want to be like this. The chief leaned closer. Then prove it. When you walk out of here tomorrow, you start over. No more excuses. No more attitude. No more believing you're above the law. Ethan nodded. I will. I swear. Good, Harrow said, because Judge Judy didn't do this to punish you. She did it to save you. Ethan wiped his eyes quickly before the guards returned. That thanks. Even though it hurts. Harrow put a hand against the glass divider. It's supposed to hurt. That's how you know it's real. The guard approached. Time's up. Ethan stood slowly. See you tomorrow? I'll be here, Harrow said. Ethan walked away, shoulders no longer held in arrogant stiffness, but lowered in something closer to humility. When he was released the next day, the sunlight felt too bright. The chief waited outside. Ethan walked toward him silently. Harrow studied his son's face. No sunglasses hiding him this time. No smirk, no swagger. Just a tired young man humbled by the world for the first time. Ready to start dealing with your punishments? The chief asked. Ethan nodded. Yeah. They walked to the car together. Dad, Ethan said quietly. Yeah. I won't disappoint you again. The chief looked straight ahead, but allowed himself the smallest smile. I'm holding you to that. Back at the courthouse, Judge Judy reviewed her next case when her clerk poked her head in. You'll want to hear this, she said. The Harrow kid just reported to his community service assignment early. Judge Judy looked up over her glasses. Early, yes. And he asked for extra hours. Judge Judy allowed herself a rare, satisfied nod. Good. Maybe he'll grow into the man his father hoped he'd be. Then she picked up her gavel, ready to begin another case, but content knowing that for once her